back for our second segment, which is the Shot of Business Central. Ken is going to talk about what's coming out with the new release and updates that they've put out for the 2019 October release of Business Central. So, Ken, what do you got?
So we've got a pretty big piece of news here today. The headline is that the plan, the detailed document plan for the second wave, or what they're calling the 2019 release Wave 2, which is due out in October, the plan document is now available.
Wow.
So
breaking news.
On June 10th, actually, is when Microsoft formally published the release plan document for Business Central and made it available to everyone.
And the release plan details what's coming out in the October release, right?
Exactly, yes. It's the list of all of the new features, capabilities, improvements that have been made since the previous release. So they're working in twice a year updates, right? There'll be a plan for a spring update and a fall update each year, and they're calling this the 2019 release Wave 2.
New terminology too, right?
I think we're calling it loosely the fall 2019 update.
Yeah.
So it's kind of how we're referring to it. So a couple things regarding it is obviously June 10th. It's now available. So we're going to make a link available in the podcast notes where you can get this full document. It's also available on the Business Central website if you go out and search for it under
it's a pretty big document, right?
Under what's new. Yeah, it's 350 pages.
Wow.
However, that's for all of the Microsoft Dynamics solutions.
Right.
So the actual Business Central updates begin on page 168, and they go through page 196. So you've got close to 28 or 30 pages of updates that specifically talk about what's upcoming in the next release of Business Central.
So a lot of new stuff, I'm imagining.
Absolutely. So there are, and they also released 2 other dates. Before we get into the key areas of improvements here, August 2nd will be the first date that early access is available to this release. So how customers can get access to this ahead of time is by going into their Business Central environment or having their partner go in and build a new sandbox for them. And when you build a new sandbox, as soon as the new upcoming release is available, you'll have the option of creating that new sandbox either for your current release or the upcoming release.
So this allows them to get in there, try out the new features, let them know what's coming, prepare for it.
Correct.
See what they're like.
And when you combine the fact that the new sandboxes can be created with your data and with your extensions, what it really allows you to do is up to almost 2 months early, go in and create a sandbox and test out all your different transactions to make sure everything is working as you expect. Yep. And then the third...
That's early August, you said, right?
August 2nd, yep.
Okay.
And then starting on August 2nd. So, I'm not sure if that means every single tenant is going to be able to go in on August 2nd and add their preview for their upcoming release on that date.
Right.
But that's when they're going to start rolling those out.
So you may or may not be able to.
Yeah, usually what they're saying is that you'll have at least 30 days to preview that upcoming release in your sandbox. And then the third date is October 1st, and that's the general availability date. Okay. And again, what that means is that starting on October 1st, that's the date they're going to start rolling out these changes across all the Business Central environments.
Right, and most of them are going to happen within the first month, I'd say.
Yeah. But
some are probably planned a little bit longer.
Correct. Usually it's the first 30 days, and again, you'll get an email notification when your upgrade is scheduled, and there's some flexibility there if you want to delay it.
Mm-hmm.
You
but ultimately, you have to do it.
Yep.
I think there's some pillars you want to talk about, right?
Yeah. So what they within this document, and everyone will have access to it and can go through and read it. I just wanted to kind of touch on the fact that they're defining these key development pillars or areas of focus as they release new versions of the software. So the first is a focus on the service.
Okay.
Right? So this is a cloud-based application. Everyone expects it to be reliable, to perform well. So they've done a lot of improvements kind of under the hood, so to speak, that relate to performance, reliability, supportability, and security. So a lot of these things, these may be things that people don't see, but it makes it hum.
Yeah. So it's, your security updates and things like that. Just when when your computer has to have an update, same thing.
Right. The second one is the modern client. So making improvements to the user interface, making it quick and easy to use for people. They're also announcing the discontinuation of the Windows client. So if you are a Business Central on-premise customer who currently has access to the Windows client, that is being discontinued with the fall 2019 release.
Because the Windows client still mimics 2018 nav? Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So if you're using, it used to be called the role-tailored client years ago, and then it became the Windows client.
Right.
And now they're discontinuing that Windows client. So the modern client or app client or browser interface will be the only user interface. Yep. Also, modern developer tools. So they're also focusing on improving the developer tools, things that people use to build extensions, whether those are our partners who are developing apps for AppSource, or partners who are developing extensions for their customers, or customers who have internal development resources in-house who are building extensions for their environment.
Right, because it's along with the switch from Nav to Business Central, their development environment changed too, right? They've had to start building everything in Visual Studio Code, and it went from, they're now using what's called the AL language, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Which makes sense. Make it easier for them too.
So this is a big shift, and along those lines, perhaps one of a significant announcement anyway, is that they are discontinuing the classic Seaside NAV development environment.
Wow.
So all customizations to Business Central will be done through AL using Visual Studio Code.
Right. So they have to learn. I'm not too familiar though. It's not really a new language for them, right? It's just different.
It's slightly different. What we've heard from people, if you build code using Cal or the native former NAV language, the AL language is similar. There's like a lot of similar characteristics to that environment. The difference is just the user interface. You're using Visual Studio Code, which is all more text-based, whereas the old development environment for Nav and Business Central on-premise was more of a graphical user interface, look and feel to it. So
it's still a pretty big change.
It's a big change. There will be some adjustments, but it kind of lines up the fact that really all customizations to Business Central now going forward really should be done as extensions. Yeah. Whereas what Visual Studio and AL code is required to do that. So that is the long term. That's the way we're moving with all new projects and clients that we're working on now.
Do you foresee in the future them just getting rid of objects completely?
As of fall 2019.
Completely gone.
Completely gone.
Client,
Exactly. That's what that means, is that the idea of an object will no longer kind of exist. Right. And we'll talk a little bit more when we get into our deep dive.
Right.
So our that's about all I have in terms of the last piece is customer migration tools. So they're focusing on the tools that can be used to migrate existing customers from other dynamic solutions such as NAV, GP, and SL.
Because really there's only, 3 now? Or if you count the add in an Excel feature, right?
3
migration tools?
Yeah, so they're improving it. So what they really want to make sure is that customers who are running NAV and GP and SL, if they so choose to move from those solutions, to Business Central Online, they want to make sure that there's a smooth migration path for that.
Quickly too.
Right. So they're very aware that right, that's an area that has to be improved.
Mm-hmm.
They're actively making improvements on that.
Yeah.
And we anticipate that very soon that there will be solid tools that will enable us to take a customer's existing environment and move it to the cloud relatively easily.
Nice.
Yep.
So everybody looking to upgrade from GP, reach out to us.
Or NAV.
Yeah, we're gonna need a Business Central. Yeah, right.
So so that's really it in terms of the shot. So it's kind of a big announcement. Look out on our website or our podcast links for that, for the full document if you want to download it and read through what the changes are.